Question.
Thank you. This is for Governor Johnson, but I would like also to hear everyone else. Some pseudo experts and hate mongers have been promoting fabrications and stereotypes about Islam and Muslims since and even before 9/11. Governor Johnson, you made some statements about opposing Sharia and banning the burqa, which is an article of clothing that some Muslim women wear. Who advises you on these matters? Where do you get your information from? And since Sharia is very important, that you've been talking about it a lot, can you just name maybe the 5 foundational maxims of Sharia?
Before I seeing that you were on the panel this evening, I actually Googled, and I would ask everybody in here, just Google Sharia law versus the U.S. Constitution. And what you're going to find is that it's the antithesis of the U.S. Constitution. That's what you're going to find. Women's rights.
What about
that women are not granted the same rights under Sharia law.
That's absolutely false.
I would just ask you all to Google what I just said and read what
So
comes up.
who advises you on these matters? Where do you get your information from? Google?
There's also a YouTube video you can find on Google that says that I have been disappeared. So, I mean, we can Google anything.
30 seconds.
Well, you're talking about the antithesis of the U.S. Constitution. So penalties allow for death for being gay, for example.
No, sir. That is wrong, and I asked you for a meeting to discuss this.
I think that we can organize this after the debate, but we are on a tough schedule.
I would love to have that meeting. This is a meeting, but this is what's happening.
Excuse me for a second.
We are on a time
This is a
schedule.
important issue. If you are a libertarian candidate, how could you call for banning something to start with?
Well, first of all, the banning the full burqa, when asked the question, it was a mistake to ban the full burqa because what you'd end up with is you'd end up banning Thanksgiving Day parade with Mickey Mouse in it because they'd be wearing a mask. You could charge me because I'm wearing, but my reason behind it was to make sure that the woman behind the full face burqa has not been beaten up because of the allowance of that.
Okay, I think we're on a tight schedule, so Mr. Rito, would you go next with a question? Mr. Rito, please.
I'm not an expert on the Quran. I do know one thing. Every single Muslim that I've ever met have been wonderful, stand-up people. They've been here a while. They've assimilated into our culture, and I love every one of them. Just bring them in at a reasonable pace, give them time to assimilate. We can all live together very well.
Dr. Feldman.
Well, I think I've always been a supporter of Gary Johnson. He's the only presidential candidate I ever voted for. However, this whole ban the burqa Sharia phobia is one big shovel-ready project. However, I understand it and I can see it, but it's a question of not having enough information. And sure, you can Google the Quran and versus the Constitution, but you can also Google
Not the Quran, Sharia law.
or Sharia law versus the Constitution. But you can also look at fatwas against theocracy. There are very strong sects within, especially I believe it's the Shia, who believe that religion does not belong in politics. Religion is to purify yourself and not to be involved in world affairs. And these are the people who are the opposition for a lot of the theocratic rulers trying to take control of the Middle East. We are not helping by attacking them.
Mr. Perry.
There's a Muslim maxim that says there shall be no coercion in deen. Deen is generally translated to mean faith, meaning that you cannot coerce someone in matters of faith. One could look at the Old Testament of the Christian Bible, they could look at the Talmud, they could look at the Torah, and you can find things that are absolutely horrible. If I were to wear a cotton wool blend shirt under Levitical law, I should be stoned. If not stoned as in smoking weed.
It's wool and linen, actually.
If I were to grow multiple crops in the same field, then there are penalties for that as well. So you could look at any religious text and find horrible things. Regarding Sharia, just like the Levitical law, only applies to those that consent to live under that, and it does not apply to anyone else, and there is no coercion in deen.
I think that with the Muslim community, we do not want to be in the Libertarian Party Donald Trump, so I